Welcome to Basics with the Petersons. I'm Tim and this is Trish, and the last video we did kind of took you through the steps of where we collect all the water, the square footage of our carport, and kind of the numbers that kind of correlate with that. Today what I'd like to do is take you to the spot where we do the majority of our storage at.
Well, and just to kind of back up, so last year was our first year that we had been accumulating rainwater, and we ended up, we showed you how it started with one IBC tote in a very not so great place, and then it went to two IBC totes, or do we have three?
We had two.
We had two IBC totes, and then we pumped it to a higher area on our ground so that we could gravity feed it. But just to kind of tell you for that, so last summer we had 5 raised garden beds, and so we had a variety of fruits and vegetables that we were watering.
They were all through the drip tube system. This is all drip tube,
yes.
is what we've got set up.
And then we also had plants, like bedding plants, that we had around the base of our home, really for beautification. And by the end of the summer, by September, we were rationing that water. We had gone through just about all that water. Again, we try not to use...
That was roughly about 660 gallons that we had filled up and we're using for watering the plants and so forth.
And we did not use our pump, I don't think at all. We did not use our actual well water for any of that. And so we were able to sustain it, but we were rationing it. But the one thing that we did not get to do is we could not water any of our yard with that. So we basically had a very dry, ugly yard by the end of the summer.
Well, really what we had set up for the drip tube system really covered roughly about 30 to 40% of our overall usage that we need to have in order to keep this area green and thriving during those dry months.
Because we didn't even get to water our fruit trees, which we could have had a much better production if we had really good deep water all through the drier part of our summer. So that's why we realized that what we had started with was not sufficient enough for our purposes. Right. And so you will see just where we've moved our water collection system.
How it's expanded, how where we accumulate it, we have to pump it up to another spot. All those things we're going to kind of go through with you somewhat today.
So join us today as we walk you through this part 2 in our water accumulation and water system that we've put here at Basics with the Petersons.
So it goes underneath the ground, and all the way underneath, I've got it about 8 to 10 inches below this bark area that I have shade cloth and then bark on top. And then it comes out over the edge here, and you can't really see it, this is what I wanted to have happen. You can see the ivy, it actually has grown up over it. And this has just been about half a year of ivy growth. But if you follow it down, you can start to see the pipe right there, which I have painted green to hopefully hide it a little bit better. But it goes and travels all the way across. But literally in about, by August this year, this whole pipe will probably be underneath the ivy and won't be able to be seen anymore. The way I propped it up was I took some pressure treated lumber, and it's a 2x6, and I end up cutting a V in it that it rides on, and then it's down, I pounded it down into the ground to give it some stability. And this is a negative flow or a negative drop to keep the flow going. But you can see it goes down here and then over to the IBC totes. Before I get down to the IBC totes, one thing I wanted to add also is that you can see all this surface area on this side, and I don't have dimensions, but this is the other side at the top there. This is the other side of the roof line that on the other, it's the other half. It also has an addition here on the end that adds even more surface area. So I don't know the square footage there, but it basically accumulates in that gutter system right above the windows, goes all the way down. And what I've done here is put a downspout, and then I've put a collection system down here. That downspout goes into there. It is routed underneath here and comes out on the other side. Now this is fairly new, so it's not painted, but it adds to, and it goes down to the IBC totes as well, but it adds to the amount of quantity that I can collect. But it will be painted. The ivy will grow over it as well to hide it and make it much more aesthetically valuable for my wife. So let's kind of talk about how I have these totes set up. You can see this is the other end. We've got the water coming from the carport area down through here. It goes into the top of the middle one. And then this one also feeds. I've got it unplugged right now because I actually have full totes right now. I don't need any more water for the summer. Everything is filled up to the hilt. So I'm gonna actually disconnect it further up the line up here and then have it just drop down and go on the ground. But I've got 3 IBC totes here. Each one of these are 270 gallons. So I actually have 810 gallon capacity down here. I've thought about adding another one, but I have not gone through a full summer utilizing the water, the amount of accumulation that we are able to have right now. So I don't know if there's going to be an excess of water or not during the about 2.5 months of dry season around here. But what I've got them do, I've got them tied together. They come in on top. Okay, I want to show you real quick the filtration system that I have set up on these. I have not come up with a good system to prop these up. That's why these pressure treated wood is here. If anybody has a great idea on how to keep that contour from there to here in a downward motion, I know I probably should have set these totes about another 6 or 8 inches down, but I did not have everything mapped out like I was supposed to. But if there's a good way to solve that problem, somebody put in comments and let me know, because that's one issue that I'm dealing with. But let me show you real quick the last filtration system I have set up before it goes into the totes. So I have both of these totes set up the same way, but basically it comes in, the system comes in and to the 90-degree 2-inch elbow, and which screws directly into the top. And then what I've done is I've gone and cut out, and you can see how much is accumulating even through here, how much accumulates in the screen. But basically, this is the last form of defense against dirt into the system, or debris into the system. And you can see I've took basically screen for a screen door, cut out a square piece, and then it fits right over the top, and then it's fine enough that I can screw the top on, and it ends up, well, I haven't cleaned it since I put it in there at the beginning of the rain season. So you can see how much ends up accumulating there. So there is stuff getting through all of that down to this point. So, but these are the different stages I've put in for the filtration system. Okay, now what I'd like to do is take you kind of the step-by-step process through it. Once the rain comes down, it's been filtered, it's been collected, and I've got 810 gallons here in these 3 270-gallon IBC totes. What do I do with it then? So I want to really go over how I have blackened out the IBC totes themselves so that we don't have any algae growth, as well as how I take it from here to the rest of the system in order to get it to be able to be distributed throughout the property to all the different areas that I want it to help our plants grow and our gardens grow and utilize this rainwater that we have. So with that, I'm going to take you through those steps. Okay, so if you look real closely, all these 3 IBC totes are tied together through a 2-inch PVC pipe. You notice down here, you notice at the bottom down here, I do have a head that ties directly into a hose, which I have used. Anything that's below these IBC totes, I can go water pretty easily by just hooking up a hose there, opening it up, and going through the process of water that. Depending on how far away it is, there's not a huge amount of pressure. Anytime I do need a pressure, I do have a pump that I'll share with you to end up pumping that water elsewhere. But basically, what I end up doing is I end up taking this water from here out of these IBC totes and hook up a pump right here, and this pump that I hook up, I'll show you what it looks like. I bought it $99 on Amazon. Right now I know they're out of stock, but it does a great job. I was actually shocked at how well it pumped and how much pressure I had raising it up from there. I have to pump it 200 feet. Each one of those hoses right there, I've got 2 hoses. Each one of those hoses is 100 foot. And these hoses actually reach just barely to where I have the accumulation at the top of the hill. So basically what I do is hook up a pump at the end of this hose right here, which comes out of the IBC totes. I did have to get a non-collapsing, I think it's a 3/4 inch hose from Home Depot to plug into the pump. And then I hooked the hose all the way up, and it goes through right between all the way up the hill. And I don't know if you can see where the final stage of collection system is, but it's up at the top, and it basically it's 200 feet to that area. And I'm estimating, because I don't have a good way to determine it, but it's about a 40-foot incline from where I've got it collected down below up to where its final destination is up above. So here's the pump that I end up using, which pumps that water 200 feet up about 40 feet in the air to the final destination. What I've done with this is I put adapters on both ends to accept garden hose, a garden hose size, and it works really, really well. But basically, I go and turn it on, and you can see the kind of the specs there. It does the job and does it very well. And I actually pumped for 2 seasons now. Basically, when we moved in, I collected a little bit of water, put it up above, and then this whole summer, or this whole rainy season, winter time, it's pumped. So I probably have ran probably about 3,800, maybe 4,000 gallons of water through this pump here. But it does a very good job. To drain the 810 gallons from below the 3 270-gallon totes, it takes roughly about 3 hours. So today we've got to take a look at the bottom storage units on our rainwater collection system, and somewhat the pumping up to the top storage units. So if you like this video, please click like, subscribe, share them with your friends, and join me on the next time when we talk about the top units and how they work into our rainwater collection system. Thank you.